blog or not to blog? That's a very good question. And it's actually something that a lot of people don't really understand, is what the power of blogging is, where it fits within the sales and marketing processes of your business. But I'm going to demonstrate now how blogging can actually impact in the buying decision process. Now I'm going to talk about a general process that will actually fit most businesses, but obviously there's slight tweaks, etc., depending on what line of work you're actually in. Well, traditional marketing, we try to, and I think we're all aware that there's a group of customers out there that are completely blissfully unaware of what our businesses can do for them. And if they do know who we are, they don't know the details of it. Anyone ever actually met someone and you've told them what your business does and they go, I knew your firm, but I didn't know that's what you did. Oh, that's interesting. Well, that's actually probably the majority of the sales prospects that you can actually attract, that you can get to, don't know exactly what the benefits of your product is. So basically, imagine you've got somebody, say, running a factory. He's running the factory at 92% efficiency. And then he hires somebody from a competitor who says, we run at 96%. So all of a sudden, he's becoming aware that he's got a problem. He was blissfully unaware. He's now happy. Maybe you work in an industry that could actually help with that. So he's becoming aware. And then he starts researching the problem. Just how big a problem do I have? Is it something I can fix easily? Is it going to cost me a lot of money? How much am I going to have to invest in this? And then they start researching solutions. They'll start to find potential solutions that different companies have, different vendors, etc. And then they evaluate those solutions. And finally, they go out and they talk to vendors. Quite often for the first time, they're talking to vendors only when it comes to asking for a price for something they have decided themselves the whole way through. So they go to the vendor and they say, can you give me a price? And if that's the point that they talk to you, then all you can impact on in terms of whether or not you get the business is by cutting your price. And the thing is, if you actually really are good at sales and marketing, you might be the preferred supplier. And if you're the preferred supplier, they're not going to talk to you first. They're going to talk to the second place supplier, and they're going to bash them down on price. And then they're going to come to you and say, we really want to work with you, but you're 25% too expensive. So selling on price can quite often not be a very profitable way to do it. But think of this buying decision process here as it relates to you. Let's just say it has a tendering process in there. How do you actually influence the tendering process? Because you're not often, especially if it's public sector, you're not allowed to phone up the buyer or take them out to lunch, etc. Those were the good old days. So when is the best stage to engage? Anyone from the audience want to give me an idea? Sorry? Before the tender process, absolutely. I say that the best place is when they're blissfully unaware. But if you think right through that whole process there, they're at a knowledge disadvantage to a sales and marketing person, to somebody who's going to actually try and sell to them. So think about yourselves. Do you like talking to salespeople when you're at a knowledge disadvantage? It's not a pleasant experience, is it? So really, they're not going to engage when they're unaware with salespeople. They're not going to fix meetings with you when they don't know they've got a problem. They're not going to, when they're becoming aware and researching the problem, they're certainly not going to talk to you. Researching solutions, if you've got an existing relationship, possibly you might get a chance to put your tuppence worth in there. Really, you're not going to get to talk to them until the price comparison, unless you've got good account management and good existing relationships. But if you actually engage, and this is something that I talk to people all the time about sales and marketing, and I say, what percentage of your prospects do you actually convert? And they often say, 70, 80%. Then we do the analysis, and it's never more than 10, because they just put to one side the ones that didn't actually reach tendering, didn't really reach pricing on, well, we couldn't really have supplied them, etc. Well, maybe you could if you'd influenced what they were deciding to buy in the first place. So it goes up every stage earlier in the decision-making process that you are actually able to engage with them and consult with them and actually build trust and build relationships. The chances of winning the business increases. And then it starts to get pretty much certain that you're going to get the business unless you're hideously expensive. So how do you actually engage at the blissfully aware stage? The stage where I have found that if you engage people through blogging, through social media, through networking, through engaging them on a deeper level at a very early stage in the decision-making process, they don't see you as a salesperson. They don't see you as someone who's trying to force them to buy. They see you as someone who's an expert who is trying to help them to run their business better. And at that point, even if they have to go to tender, quite often they'll ask you to write the tender for them. It's an easy thing to do, to win a tender when you've actually won the business, when you've actually defined the tender. But don't worry, if you don't actually manage to engage earlier, because they've bought the wrong thing, there's going to be a re-tendering process in 3, 6 or 12 months. Has anyone found that out, that they come to you and actually say, we'd like you to price for this piece of work, and you think, that's the last thing you want to do for your business. That's not the solution you want. That's because you're engaging too late. But they won't see salespeople, but what they will do is they will read blogs. What they will do is they'll come to events like this, and they'll look for opportunities to engage. They'll talk to their peers. And if you can get word of mouth going, where people actually recommend you, then that is very powerful, and it allows you to talk to people at a very early stage in the decision-making process. Now, social media is to word of mouth what rocket fuel is to space exploration. It absolutely makes it possible.